Did you forget your clothes somewhere?
Aye. At your mother's place when I was shagging her.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 just didn't hit the mark on a few things. It was nearly the most dynamic and engaging open world RPG ever. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is potentially shaping up to be exactly that, with a ton of new things to experience. So let's go. Let me know if you're excited for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, or KCD for short, was probably one of the most immersive open world RPGs we've seen. Like, it was, for one, like absolutely fantastic graphically for its time. Like, it was definitely ahead of its time, but there was a lot of really great immersion details, like the NPCs having like a nighttime and a daytime cycle, and a lot of interactivity in the game world, like all of the stealing mechanics and murdering and people remembering history and things that you've done, which I did quite like. But there was definitely a level of, like, a little bit of jank to it, and I do expect that there's going to be some of that in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but they've really pushed that open world aspect further, and those immersive details with the NPCs, as well as like choice and consequence with questing. A couple of things that I've noticed from the gameplay showcase, as well as the streams that Warhorse Studios have been doing, is definitely how in-depth the combat is now. Like, the combat in KCD1 was quite deep with all the different combos you could do, but it feels like they've really refined that system. An issue that I always had with KCD1 combat, it never felt entirely smooth or responsive, just because of that 5-point attack system and like blocking and dodging and trying to get those combos off, especially when there are multiple enemies. Just how the camera like snapped to one of them, it just didn't really flow perfectly. It just had that little bit of jank to it, right? And I'm sure there'll be a little bit of that in KCD2 as well, but in the combat footage that we've seen, they've really ironed out that process, and it looks much smoother, especially in terms of enemy animations. Not only does it feel like there is more of them, it's a bit more varied in that combat play, but it does look like they're a bit more responsive in the animations and the hit targets when you do hit them. It also seems like stealth has been changed a little bit as well. We haven't seen a ton of stealth gameplay, though it was mentioned in the most recent stream that you can actually throw rocks now to distract enemies in stealth, which will definitely be valuable as a way to get enemies looking the wrong way so you can move the right way. What I'm actually really excited about for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a lot of that choice and consequence and the way that you roleplay your Henry. So we'll cover a little bit more of that in detail a little bit later in this video, but I just wanted to touch on the questing aspects. Like, it was a big part of KCD1 about there was choices that you could make in quests about how you choose to determine the outcomes of those quests. A lot of the quests would often be to do something, and then however you got to that end point was entirely up to you. It seems like they're taking this a little bit further in terms, like, we got a good example of this in the most recent stream last week, where they showed a very early quest line where you have a bandit that's been killed out the front of like this hut. If you choose not to bury the bandit, when its friends like rock up, they will just attack you immediately, because you know, it's pretty obvious that you killed their friend because they're like right there. But if you bury them first and like hide them, they'll actually talk to you first and engage with you. You can actually diffuse that situation without fighting. And they did mention on the stream that those bandits apparently will pop up again later if you don't kill them as well. So consequences coming out of that choice and allowing you to meet those people again and feel like it was worth actually saving them. Now, compared to KCD1, which only had one map, KCD2 has two large maps. Now, the only map that we've really actually seen, I think, is this smaller map. I don't think they've actually shown us the second map. Now, they did give us a bit of a good look at this on the stream as well. Now, this is still pretty massive. Like, they did move the camera around so you can see the edges of how far this map's actually going to go. And this is being described as the smaller map that focuses more on the countryside with different biomes like forests and lake sides and that sort of thing. I am very excited to explore both of these maps, but I am a little bit cautious that this map looks huge. KCD's one maps was already massive, and if there's going to be two of them, this game's going to be pretty large, I think, which is exciting for things to explore and quests to do, but man, there's going to be a lot of content in this game, I suspect. One of the bigger, like, subtle changes that I've noticed as well is a lot of quality of life improvements compared to KCD 1 to 2. One of them is the saving mechanic, which was actually quite a contentious point when Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 actually launched. Now, the way that saving works in these games is via a like potion called Savior Schnapps. Now, you can find these in the world, you can buy them, you can actually craft them at the alchemy station as well. Now, at the original launch, this was like the only way you could save other than like a few autosaves when you got like certain quest completion things. Now with Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, they did add like a save on quit option, so you can have like a temporary like exit save, similar to how Fallout actually does this as well in the Fallout games, and I think in Starfield as well you get that like save on exit, which is just like an exit save specifically for that point. But they have mentioned that this will be the same in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, except there are now more auto saves in quests, and Savior Snaps will still be a key mechanic. Now the reason that this exists is to limit the like save scumming like feature I suppose you get in a lot of role-playing games, where you just constantly save the game and then try and do say outcome A and then go back and load that save and do outcome B and just continue to do that. They want to limit this to create a bit of a risk and reward system, so you can't like cheat the game and just constantly be saving and trying to steal things and do things certain ways. It forces you to live with the consequences of your actions, like if you murder someone in the street, right? Like you know, unless you made that save recently or the next save was, you know, 20-30 minutes ago, you might not want to go back, so you want to live with those consequences. And I love that about Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it was something that I quite liked about the honor mode in Baldur's Gate 2, by the way, like being able to like stuck to that one save and having to live with the decisions that you make. I think we need more of these choice driven RPGs that force you to stick to the decisions that you actually make, because it's very easy to go back and change your mind later. It would be much more, I think, meaningful if you were just forced to make these decisions and go all the way through for that initial playthrough. A couple of other like quality of life things that I noticed that have changed is the UI has been completely changed across the board. Now it does still have that same sort of vibes, like look and feel to it, but just the placement of a lot of the UI elements has been tweaked to look a bit more newer and up to date. And I really like the new inventory and skill screens. They do seem to show a lot more information than the original ones, as well as like maintaining that look and feel of the games. Plus the item pickups now actually show you more about the item you're picking up, which I do quite like as well. One thing that bothered me while I was watching the latest stream that I would really like them to change is the annoying camera cuts when you pick up herbs. This only happens when you pick up herbs, by the way. Like you pick up normal items and you just like make the animation of picking it up. For herbs, the camera like cuts. This always bothered me about Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and made me less interested in doing alchemy and like actually like harvesting things, just because it pulls you out of that experience, and I just didn't really like it. But like there is the aspect that when you pick up a herb, it will auto pick up the herbs that are like in its immediate vicinity, so you don't have to do that like pick up animation all the time. But it just bothered me, and I was a little disappointed to see the same animation is actually in KCD2. I would also like an eat option when you are looking at like food and drink when it's like on a table, rather than picking it up and then going into your inventory and then eating it. It would be nice to just be able to eat it straight from there. The last major point I wanted to touch on is how a lot of the game feels a bit like a medieval Red Dead Redemption or GTA. Now, similar to Red Dead Redemption, you can interact with NPCs positively or negatively. This will also lead to like quests or other interactions. This was my favorite thing about Red Dead Redemption 2, is how that game is also very immersive, especially when you play it in first person. But there's a lot of slower moments in that game where you're just traveling from point A to point B, and I do feel like there's going to be a lot of that in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and there was in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 as well, where because, you know, this is a medieval experience, there's not going to be a whole lot of fast moving things happening in this world. It's very slow paced, and having those random encounters, people come up and talk to you and engage with you, not only keeps you engaged in the game, but adds to that immersive feel like this is a living, breathing world as people do things and interact with each other, interact with you as you're moving around the world space. Now, all the same things from KCD1 will be here, but probably a little bit more in depth about how NPCs have their own like daily cycle. Like, you know, obviously shopkeepers will go to sleep and then come back in the day and open their shops. And a fun thing that was mentioned in the latest stream is that NPCs will steal your stuff if you pass out drunk. So as you could in KCD1, you can drink a whole lot of alcohol, but in KCD2, if you do pass out in the middle of the street, you might happen to lose your stuff, which I thought was quite funny. But what all this really leads into is the reputation system and sort of the policing system. Not that there's police, but you know, the guards, much like in KCD1, but more in depth here, which is the key thing for a lot of the features for KCD2. Is a lot of the same features from 1 are here. They just seem to be more in depth with a lot more happening to them. So in KCD1, you did have a reputation system based on your reputation in all the different towns. If you steal or, you know, happen to murder someone in the street, what have you, you could be arrested and then go to jail. However, this is more advanced in KCD2 in that not only will you be arrested, or you could be essentially be put onto the pillory, you can actually get branded as a thief as well. so people will interact with you in a different way. And in the gameplay showcase, they mentioned that, say, if you happen to murder a merchant, if you return to that area later, the wife will be crying like around the house. So I can't wait to play as a good Henry and, you know, be a good Samaritan and do all the good things. But I also can't wait to play as a bad Henry and do all the bad things and steal as much things as I can and maybe murder some people along the way. We'll see. But Warhorse has been putting out these regular dev streams, and I will start doing more recaps and talking about the game a lot more as we get closer to launch, as it's not far away. And this is definitely one that I'm extremely excited about. It's probably my most anticipated game for next year at this point, so we'll for sure be covering it a lot on the channel. So make sure you subscribe and like and, you know, do all that YouTube stuff. But let me know your thoughts on KCD2 in the comments down below. Are you excited for this one? Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.